I took a course. Within about 3 weeks of taking that course, I started building the course, and I selling the program before it was completely finished. And within about a month of taking that course, I already had students. We were monetized within a month on YouTube, and now we have over 50,000 subscribers. And we have a whole content team now who does in-house, who does all of that.
Hey guys, welcome to the Courses and Funnels podcast. I'm here today with Dylan Jahraus, who has a amazing online coaching program helping people start Etsy stores. She's on track for 8 figures in her first 12 months, which is absolutely crazy. So Dylan, welcome to the podcast. Super excited to have you on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yes, I haven't gotten to talk much about this side of the business before. I'm really excited to talk more about this today.
Same. Awesome. Well, I gave, a little bit of an intro, but I guess tell everyone a little bit about you, kind of your story, what you're doing.
Yeah. My background is actually corporate e-commerce. I work for some big companies here in the US. And then I married someone in the military. I had to start all over because we're moving all the time. I started an Etsy shop, became very successful. That was about 7 years ago. And now I teach Etsy sellers how to scale their businesses. And it's been wild organic growth in the last 13 months. We have about 1,600 students, and it's a high-ticket course coaching program.
Incredible. That's so awesome. Yeah. So what's the current price point or kind of like spectrum of price points for the program? Yeah. Is it like an offer stack? What does that look like?
Yeah. So now, we're really in that $3K to $15K range, depending on the level of support that the person's looking for. But we really customize it for people.
Yeah. So obviously, the more expensive it is, you would have like coaching programs, like one-to-one coaching calls, and then the lower ticket would have none of that, or kind of how do you price these?
Yeah. So the way we structure it, we actually started, it's so funny because my whole goal was to replace my Etsy income with this. So I wanted to make like $40K per month, maybe, when I started the program. And we did that in like the first month. But we basically, we started off just selling a course and then added on a coaching element, and it is group coaching. So it's in a forum on Kajabi. We use Kajabi, and we use, it's like 24/7 coaching. We always respond within 24 hours. We do a lot of Loom video coaching for their specific businesses. And then we have Zoom calls twice a week now as well. So our coaching team, we have 11 people on the coaching team. It's an international team. And we have about 25 people in the company now.
Wow, that's huge. Incredible. So I'm keen to dive into exactly how you kind of got this off the ground. So tell us, you're obviously doing Etsy stores at a time, and you're like, okay, I want to replace my Etsy income with an online course. Mm-hmm. So, I guess, how did you go about creating the course in the process and kind of launching it?
Yeah. So I actually took a course to learn how to build the back end of the course. I had no idea if it was going to be high ticket or low ticket. My inclination was, low ticket just to get more people in, but I'm so glad I didn't do that. It was definitely, that would not have been the right way to go. So I took a course. Within about 3 weeks of taking that course, I started building the course, and I selling the program before it was completely finished. And so I kind of molded it to be what people wanted. And within about a month of taking that course, I already had students. But really, it's all organic, no ads ever.
Wow.
The reason being, we started on YouTube. So that's my main source. So YouTube and the podcast were the #1 Etsy podcast. And it's all been organic, but I was posting once a day, filming, editing, posting every single day by myself. I tried to do a month straight, but then I got sick. So we were monetized within a month on YouTube, and now we have over 50,000 subscribers. And we have a whole content team now who does in-house, who does all of that.
So incredible. So tell me around the time when you're making one video a day kind of on your own, the Eminem kind of origin story of editing yourself. So did you have an audience before that, or it's just like, all right, straight to YouTube, I'm going to be kind of like the Etsy expert? How did you kind of start this channel from scratch?
Yeah, I didn't have an audience, but I was a blogger before, so I knew what it meant to be consistent and put out content and what that required. I also am a big Alex Hormozy follower, in the principles and everything. He's one of my mentors actually. So in terms of putting out the volume of content and giving away for free what other people sell, that was really my angle, and it worked really well because no one was giving what we were giving on their Etsy channel. So it worked pretty quickly. I was filming everything on my iPhone. It was really rough looking, but you have to start somewhere, you know.
Hmm.
Yep.
Okay. And if someone was to start, where they are now, I'm curious, if you could go back in time, or let's say someone listening has, an amazing idea, maybe a biz up course or something else high ticket, and they're considering YouTube potentially as a growth strategy. Obviously, it's working. Would you say kind of do the same thing, a video a day? How would you come up with video ideas and thumbnails? Kind of what strategy or what system or process did you use, and are you using like a one person band to have a great start on YouTube and start building followers or subscribers? Sorry.
So I learned TubeBuddy, and I follow Think Media for kind of direction on production and hooks and things like that. And there's enough free things out there for you to learn how to build a channel, but it's a volume play. Like you have to start somewhere. You have to be willing to do it for like at least a year to see results. So you have to be in it for the long game. Don't expect results within the first month because you're gonna suck at the beginning. Like you just will. So being open to being comfortable with that and then just get that out of the way, right? Fail fast. And so YouTube is definitely the place to be, though, just in terms of like establishing yourself as an authority. Podcasts are great as well. It's funny because we repurposed everything on YouTube for a podcast, and we became the number one Etsy podcast only doing that, which, I mean, that we didn't put much effort into that. And but I do think YouTube, they can see you. It really establishes that kind of like no trust factor. And then when you get on a sales call with someone, they feel like they're talking to a celebrity. Yeah.
They've heard you for hours already. Totally. Okay, cool. So there's TubeBuddy, which is software. You said there was Think Media, which is kind of great free content, kind of launch YouTube channels, consistency, and also shooting with the iPhone. So that strategy, ideally, kind of how much would you recommend people post per week? You're posting every day. Is that kind of the thing to do? You think a few times a week?
Yeah. I did it daily and then went to
Mm-hmm.
3 to 4 times per week. And between, let's see, August and October, we made over $500,000 with my phone doing that.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so tell us around everything kind of like after the YouTube channel. So you're posting every day, amazing content, amazing videos, really hustling, consistent. How are you turning these kind of views into paying customers? What does that kind of funnel process look like?
Yeah, so it's very top of funnel, but you can always add complexity to a funnel. You always can. You can always make things more complicated and add more layers. But I wanted to really eliminate friction from the beginning. So it was straight to book a call with a link to my Calendly to book a free strategy call. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what we did for the first, geez, probably 6, 7 months. And not even until 6 to 7 months in did we create an actual opt in and really focus on the email list. Mhm.
Cool. Originally, Calendly. Now you're driving to an opt-in for a lead magnet, and then just trying to get people on a call with the lead magnet and the emails afterwards, or
Yeah, so we do have
Mhm.
a really strong email marketing team now, and
Cool.
so with nurture sequences and things like that. So ultimately, we let that email list kind of take over, and that's just much more effective, I think, in getting people warmed up and ready to purchase. But we still drive them to Instagram, TikTok. We have a Facebook group now, so we're trying to be on all platforms. LinkedIn is something that we haven't touched yet, but I mean, our
Mhm.
ideal customers are there, the most qualified leads would be there. So that's what we're going into now. But ultimately, it was really very simple to begin with: YouTube, Instagram, the podcast, straight to booking a call.
Yeah, cool. Okay. And this is like when you mentioned your audience being on LinkedIn, is this kind of like a broad, it is biz up, I would say, right? It's how to
Yeah.
start an Etsy store from scratch. Is it like, is the target market kind of basically everybody, like very, very broad, assuming they have the budget, or is a particular niche you focus on?
Yeah, about half of the customers, the people we target, are people who don't have an Etsy shop yet. Now, they're either going to
Mm-hmm.
be broke, so they're trying to make money, or
Mm-hmm.
they're have a great career, they're burned out, they've hit their income, like earning potential kind of. And so they're financially qualified, but they're working and they want to start an Etsy shop from scratch. And then the other half of the people we help are people who already have a shop. So some of the people we help, they have shops that do $8 million a year. So, it's
Wow.
definitely a range of people who we help.
Totally. How do you think about, like, if someone is starting out and they're doing YouTube organic to try and get core sales? Right now you're doing opt-in with like a big email sequence because you've got a team. Originally, you're doing straight to call.
Yeah.
How would you kind of recommend people set up that funnel if they're just starting out and it's just them?
I think it depends on what you're selling and how compelling your offer is, because you don't have to get everyone on a call to purchase. We do over six figures a month only closing on Instagram and in email. Both of those individually are typically six figures at least minimum per month. So,
Wow.
and that's all. It used to be me for the first 8 to 9 months, and then I hired a team of DM closers and setters. So that's
So
you
sick.
know you can hire that out
Nice.
full commission. Mhm.
Yeah. And are you okay? Wow. So are you, are you still taking sales calls now? I assume not, right?
I shouldn't be, but we hired a COO about 3 weeks ago, and we just hired a director of sales who starts next Monday. So that's going to really remove me from that process.
You'll be damn. Okay. Wow. So you're teaching it and you're closing, multi six figures, sometimes seven figures a month on your own. That's crazy. So, okay, wow. Now, I'm curious about these DM setters. So you said that, correct me if I'm wrong, that there's some pricing at like 15K and then also some at 3 in terms of
Yeah,
the course. What's the most kind of like expensive course that you've sold over DM?
over DM, that would probably be about 10,000. Over about 10,000. Yeah.
And what does that process look like? So first of all, where did you hire that kind of DM setter, or where did you train them? And then how does getting people into the DMs and kind of getting them to buy the course from you, where does that, yeah, kind of, what does that process look like?
Yeah. So, we actually found our initial closers, both who are on calls and in DMs, through Cole Gordon's team, closers.io. Are you
Cool.
familiar? But once you're in that community of salespeople, then we kind of reached out through, Jeremy Miner's groups. And, once you're in that network, there's always people looking for opportunities. So that's where we find people. And ultimately, DM closing is so nice for people who are moms, or they have remote lives where they can't be on calls necessarily, but they want to close people. So it's basically a sales call via messages. So all the tonality, it's with words. It's really interesting, and it's the exact same process as a sales call, basically.
And then in terms of, starting a conversation and actually kind of starting the message, is it, what, like every new follower comes in, you message them? Did you have a process in terms of kind of starting these conversations with prospects?
Yeah, so we do a lot of, engaging posts. We'll put out polls and things, and with these polls, a lot of them are just also financially qualifying people. For example, what did you do for a
Interesting.
vacation this summer? I went out on my yacht. I went camping, or like I couldn't afford to leave my house. Like, okay, now you know who's more financially qualified. So we'll do things like that. Of course, we message all the new followers, and we're constantly trying to give value as well. We have over 1,000 testimonials for this program, and that's really what sells this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And I'm curious whether it's, you mentioned kind of selling via DM is the same as kind of selling via phone. It's just, a different format. How do you approach selling high ticket online courses? Because especially, if people are starting out, if they
Yep.
can, I'm like, try and go high ticket. It's going to take more time, but, if you can sell one course at $3,000, that's, what is it, $130 course. So it's a lot easier to sell one. So I try and push there, but sometimes people maybe don't have sales experience or, anything like that. So I'm curious, kind of, what does that process look like from someone booking a call with you from YouTube organic or Instagram to, kind of getting them to obviously purchase the course and join the program as someone who's closed what, freaking millions of dollars in the last 12 months.
Yeah, it's so funny. My background is not at all sales. I was actually a buyer in e-commerce, so I worked with salespeople on the other side. There was no way, if I had known I was getting myself into a sales type of position, I probably would have been like, no, thank you. Because my first actually 11 sales calls, I did not close anyone. I almost went to low ticket at that point. I thought, this is not, and thank God I didn't. A mentor of mine actually had a one-on-one call with me, reviewed my call, and was like, this is where it's going wrong. So I made some shifts. Boom. Now our close rate's about 80%. It's really about having the confidence in what you're selling and knowing that it's actually going to help someone and having the proof
Mm.
behind it. So belief in the product is key. Yeah.
Yeah, totally, yeah. Alex Hormozy even said, like on a few of his videos, I watch him and he's your mentor, but he'd be saying that, conviction is like the number one thing that he looks for in salespeople, and that makes the biggest difference. And I see that as well. The more you're bought in and the confidence and excitement you have, the kind of other person is going to feel that. So what does the actual process look like in terms of step by step? Like literally, even before someone gets to the call, any kind of manual follow up, appointment setting stuff, kind of confirmation before the call, and
Yeah.
then once you jump on the call, what does that actual sales process look like from second one all the way to kind of invoicing or striping or getting them to actually pay?
Yeah. So basically, with this, it's typically a one call close. Our
Hmm.
leads are very warm. With our
Yeah.
close rate, it's not that difficult. The calls are about 45 minutes at most, but I've gotten them down to like sometimes 20 to 25 minutes, which is really nice. But it's basically when they book a call, they get to a call confirmation page with 5 videos they have to watch before the call. And it's just, make sure they understand this is to learn about a program. It's not a free coaching call because, as soon as people see me, they're like, I'm going to ask you 1,000 questions. Um, so we really have to, set that boundary at the beginning. And then, we just go through really clearly understanding where they're at, why they booked this call, like why the heck are we here? Why are we here? And just we get right into it. We don't do any weird, funny business. It's really, why are you here? Where are you at? Um, are you going to get there on your own or not? If not, do you fit with our program? Do what we provide? Does that fit with what you're looking for? And then we take them through, brief overview of things. And then typically they sign up and we get them onboarded within 12 hours. We're really focusing on that customer success part of the process now. Yeah, just have a really smooth handoff into the program. And they pay, on the call. They get a discount if they pay on the call too, which is what most people like to do.
Cool. That's amazing. So the kind of call side, I totally get that. Leading up to the call, or even like on the call, how do you qualify if someone has the budget? Because 3K is fair. Still a lot amount of money, and not everyone's going to have the budget for that, I assume.
Yeah.
How do you kind of qualify prospects so that you're not speaking to kind of people on these free strategy calls, and and there's no hope of a sale?
Well, there's certain countries that we're not able to partner with at this point, just with our payment options. We do offer payment plans, and we partner with Elective. They used to be called Wise Bank. Yeah, we work with them, and we can go out to 18 months on payment plans for people, interest free, which is kind of nice. So typically, if someone wants to do it, we're able to work it out for them. Yeah.
Perfect. What would you say, if you don't mind me asking? I'm just curious because I'll tie this in to a second question. But what's the rough split between kind of either paid just kind of like purely in cash versus like financing payment plans?
Sometimes it depends on the time of year. At the end of the year, people do want the tax deduction. When they get their tax return in the spring, or their refund, they have extra money, so they'll just do it then, all in cash. So it just depends. I do see seasonality with people needing payment plans during different times of the year, but ultimately, it doesn't really make a difference to us since we still receive that amount up front now, anyways. So
Perfect. What kind of, maybe explain roughly how financing works and kind of what companies and tools you mentioned Wise, but you're using, let's say in the US to kind of help, give people like a crash
yeah.
course on that.
So man,
Yeah.
we looked at quite a few, and we wanted to go with, we didn't want to have 5 options. We wanted like, okay, one solid option that would work for
Mm-hmm.
most people. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
have a credit score of like about, I think it's about 680, and to qualify, be in the US or Canada for that one. And It's pretty simple. They actually just make the first payment on the call. This is very
Mhm.
different from the process where they are getting an outside loan and then they receive this large sum of money and then like 2 3 days later you're trying to collect it. um,
Mhm.
I personally did not want to do that because I thought, well, what if this person wants to go out and like blow it on something else? I did not want to do that. It just seemed really clunky. So we like this
Mhm.
process where they get access immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe if you could just explain kind of how the financing works. So it's a company, you sign up with them, and
Mhm.
then people, like, yeah, yeah. Just
Yeah.
explain how that process works. Because I still think, especially, with beginners, they don't really
Yeah.
know what this means.
Yeah, so Elective,
Yeah.
basically it's a
Mhm.
bank. It's essentially a bank, a Canadian bank, and they finance coaching and online education programs. Now you do have to be improved. I'm not sure exactly what their current terms are for approving people, but you do have to be established. And we actually got signed up with the CEO himself, John. I don't know if he's signing people up himself anymore, but he onboarded us, and it was pretty smooth. We were one of their earlier clients when they rolled this out publicly in the spring. And basically, you just set up your business with them, and the customer is paying them now, but you get the full amount minus about 12 to 27% on the front end. So the customer then just is responsible for paying the bank, and you're not, chasing down payments or dealing with anything anymore. Yeah.
So good. Okay, I love it. I love it. Now, I'm curious. You said kind of a few minutes ago around that kind of 12-hour onboarding sequence. So you jump on a phone call, you sell the product high ticket, everyone's happy. It's like, great. Let me get you kind of inside. You know, you're growing this into a behemoth now, right? Like, huge team, huge revenue. What have you learned, and kind of what are you doing right now in terms of customer or client success
Yeah.
to have awesome results? So yeah, yes. So tell me around kind of outside of selling it, when you're actually in the program, how people can, things people can do to get better results. Like you've got 1,000 case studies now. Tell us about kind of client success. How you think about that?
So it's funny because even though you can provide this amazing coaching program and they have access to you as a huge coaching team, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. I don't know if you've heard that, but it's like you cannot force someone to ask for help. So, the way I've been saying things recently is I want you to be asking questions every single day until you are happy with your financial results. If I don't hear from you, I'm going to assume you are thrilled with the results. So I think we just have to really encourage people, give them prompts. Ask, what are 2 things I should prioritize in my business today? Here's my Etsy shop, help me. Just say that and we can help you. But we just need to know if you need help. And then our 24/7 coaching, I mean, there is no other Etsy coaching program doing what we're doing. I really want our delivery and our fulfillment to be like the Rolls Royce of coaching. Coaching programs get a bad rap for dropping people off and like signing people up and then like not responding to emails and things. So we our turnaround time is very quick. It's essentially one-to-one coaching, but just videos of your shop for you inside of a coaching group, which makes it really convenient. Convenience also makes people utilize it more, I find. So that's what we do. We also have a brand new director of customer success who does onboarding calls within your first 12 hours of signing up. You're invited to an onboarding call to really be taken, under our wing. And then accountability calls, we just started today. That's how quickly we're moving. We're just like
Yeah,
new, new, new,
yeah.
go, go, go.
Product,
Yeah.
product, product. I love it. It's
Yeah.
awesome. On its face, and what's the actual offer for the high ticket stuff? So they have kind of text support with their team. It is in text support with your team. They have options for one-to-one calls, group calls. Tell me kind of on the higher ticket and end of the spectrum with your offer. What's everything that you're actually giving them? What is that?
Yeah. Well, I learned from Alex Hormozy, to really simplify things and not overcomplicate it. So we used to offer the course by itself or the course with coaching. Now we're really just focused on the course with coaching. It's the exact same program. You just choose how long you want coaching for. So duration is the only difference in our options. 6 weeks, 6 months, 15 months. You just decide. And it's the exact same coaching though, 24/7 coaching, Zoom calls twice a week, accountability calls, lifetime access to the program.
Love it. I'm jumping around everywhere. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry, but
that's good.
there's so much stuff here. I want to cover everything. So you mentioned as well when you're going either from Instagram or YouTube, and you're getting people to book a call on that
Mhm.
page after the call. After the call, you have a page with like 5 videos as homework before
Yeah.
the first call. Is that correct?
Yes. Those
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
purely pre-handling objections. Yeah.
Love it. So tell us about kind of that page, how you use it, how you created it, because it's super smart.
It it's
Yeah.
pretty much, like 5 FAQ, frequently asked questions, and, you
Mhm.
know, one is like, "Is this like those other $97 courses?" And then I explain in a video, it's
Mhm.
embedded why it's so different. Do you
So
have to
good.
know what you wanna sell before you join? And then I explain, "No, absolutely not." Does this work for digital and physical products? We always get asked that. Yes, absolutely. And questions like that, so that people understand what they're, walking into, what the offer clearly is.
Amazing. And these are just kind of 5 videos, each handling an objection on a page with like a headline saying, thanks for booking the call. Watch these before your call with Dylan or something.
Yeah, exactly. On the sales team, we have 2 other people now who take calls as well. So it's not just me, and we had to really I'm trying to remove me from being, the go-to for everyone. Because at this
Hmm.
point with this many students, I really have to like, I used to have students, like, texting me. It just got really out of control with how much access they had. So now,
Hmm.
the expectation is they're gonna meet with someone from the team or possibly me.
Cool. And where's the community hosted?
Kajabi.
Cool. Okay. Okay. So the course and the
Yeah.
community is in there as well. Awesome. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Cool. So you mentioned people selling digital products on Etsy. Have you tried this? Do you have any kind of like, crazy client or customer stories or examples of people selling digital products through Etsy? Because I remember a while ago, one of my friends' girlfriends launched a kind of this like cool as creator UGC portfolio, and she was just running ads and kind of getting, I think, like a 3 or 4 ROAS just from an Etsy store. I'm like, wow, this is so crazy. So I'm curious if you have any examples or experience selling digital products on Etsy.
Yeah, about half of the students we work with sell digital products actually. So you can
Wow.
definitely hit like 10K per month doing that. It just depends on the price point. So if you're able to sell a higher ticket digital product, like, a website template, and maybe add a service
Hmm.
component to that, like maybe installation, something like that, you can make a lot more.
Interesting. So do you have any examples of kind of people hitting 10K a month or more with these digital product offers on Etsy?
Yeah, definitely. Usually it's going to be a product that has some kind of utility behind it. So not like, mid-journey clip art or something like that. It's typically something like a spreadsheet or, a template, website, web design, something B2B usually.
Love it. And how would you? So obviously, you'd create it, set up the delivery through Etsy and stuff. In terms of actually kind of selling it and getting customers, if someone wanted to test Etsy, sorry, with a digital product like that B2B, what kind of marketing strategy would you use for that to get people to it?
Well, you have to give it away. I mean, you just have to give it away. You have
Okay.
like people come out the gate like pricing things way too high. Like, I got like 2 sales in a month. Like, what do you mean you're selling it for like $40? Just have to give it away, get some customer
Hmm.
feedback, just increase your velocity of sales to jumpstart things. So, different pricing strategies for different stages of your business is something we really focus on. It doesn't matter, if you put 100 hours into something, if you're only going to sell 2 in a month, you might as well sell 200 and at least get that order number up. So, I really like to help those new shops get traction because most people it's not intuitive knowing how to get traction on Etsy. So that's something we
Yeah,
really work with you on. Yeah.
totally. What you're doing is amazing. I'm curious, kind of what the plan is for you. What's like the vision over the next kind of 12 months, 24 months, where you want to take this?
Yeah. So we have pretty much a full executive team now on board, which is crazy to me. We nearly went through an acquisition over the summer, actually, which was very interesting. I'm glad in hindsight that we didn't go through with it, but I do think with margins the way they are, cash flow in the business so healthy that it's something good to keep full equity, in. So I think next steps, we definitely probably have another 12 months of doing this organic, and then we'll probably turn on ads at some point, maybe a year from now, but we have so much more to do organic. I think we can easily 3x this organic and then turn on ads, blow things up. And then we're also looking at, okay, what outside of education could we do? Maybe like a software, acquiring a software, building a software, something like that. We're definitely in this for the long game.
I love it. Yeah, that's so cool. And in terms of kind of like day to day right now, growing like a kind of, because we have a few clients who kind of aren't hitting kind of, multiple eight figures, but, they're on the way there, especially if they're selling high ticket and they are very, very profitable. Kind
Mhm.
of, how do you see building out? Because, you don't have you have like a real business now, right? There's employees and there's operations managers and you're killing and there's huge revenue. It's not, just a product anymore. So I'm curious kind of when you're just starting out getting core sales, how do you look to kind of scaling and growing and building like a huge kind of coaching business where, the fulfillment's great, the customer success is great, the marketing is great. I know that's a broad question, but it's like on that, between that gap from, okay, I'm getting sales calls, I'm profitable. If I'm running ads, I'm getting sales, to kind of ramping it up where there's a team and you can handle, $1 million worth of fulfillment per month. Does that make
Oh,
sense?
yeah, it does. So I would say for sure, always looking to where the constraint in the business is. Because if you're not looking ahead and anticipating the next constraint, you're going to be on your back foot. So really working ahead and looking ahead and seeing, okay, where is the next constraint at? How do I eliminate that, prevent that from even happening? So personnel, people is really where it's going to happen. So on the fulfillment side, right, building up a coaching team. 6 months ago, it was only me coaching. Now we have 11 people on the team. It's a global coaching team. So really kind of getting ahead of that so that you don't become the constraint of the business. Hiring out what you're not good at. Like I did my own videos for a few months by myself, probably a month too long, to be honest. So hiring out things that you're not good at, keeping your margins nice and high, only spending money on things that are going to make you money, not going out, my car is like 13 years old, you know, I don't, that's not, and I'm proud of that because it's like I could go off on that one. But, anyways, really just focusing on the financial health of the business
Mm.
and getting the people in place early enough to help you.
Totally. I do want you to go off on that car idea because I saw some rage there. And I know, we may get a good debate story. And it is important as well because, there's so many like on TikTok and it's like, oh, I'm like 17 and I make, 20K a month. I'm renting a Lambo now. It's like, well, you could have hired like 2 employees for that money who are going to, 10X you. So yeah, tell us, kind of give us the words of wisdom because I'm sure, people listening may want, to be that course millionaire and buy a Lambo or whatever it is. So yeah, what do you think?
Well, it's easy to make money, but how do you keep it and how do you grow it? So we do real estate, we do the stock market, we do other things with that. But how can you grow that money and put it to work? Because nothing's guaranteed. You really want to have diversify your income streams early in the game. If you do that early, you'll see that compounding effect. I see a lot of people where their lifestyle inflation is a thing. Their income goes up, their expenses go up. For me, my expenses stay the same or go down while my income goes up. And that's why, I'll never have a financial worry in my life. But people, I don't think they learn that nowadays necessarily. What really matters, is that what people think about your car. Like, is that really what matters? Or would you rather have, 7, 8 figure business that is thriving and booming and you're building, an empire? What would you rather have? Perception's not everything.
Totally, totally. I love it. Well, we covered a ton. I'm keen to maybe have a few more questions specifically around YouTube, right? You're driving, I assume, so much traffic, so much revenue just from organic YouTube. Kind of in terms of traffic sources that become sales, what would that split look like in terms of different platforms, like 50% YouTube,
Yeah.
10% TikTok or whatever?
Yeah. TikTok, we haven't even really skimmed the surface on. YouTube is probably where the most leads come from. But I would say our most qualified leads come from the podcast. Very different customers, different types of people who listen to podcasts versus, who watch YouTube. And I see it clearly. So I would say YouTube is great. It's going to be like really wide reach, but, just make sure that you stay focused on establishing yourself as an authority. The goal isn't to go viral. That's not going to make you money. You can make a lot of money with very few followers. We made probably $500,000 with less than 10,000 followers on YouTube.
Wow. Okay. And
Yeah.
and what's the difference between the podcast and the YouTube channel?
With the podcast, those people are usually listening to it when they're commuting. They usually have full-time jobs. They really value their time, which means their time is worth something to them. They're willing to pay to speed up a process to learn something faster. And YouTube, it's going to be someone who has time to look at something. So um, that tells you something. If they have time to actually watch something, might have too much time on their hands.
Definitely, yeah. I can sense it happening right now. People listening to this, podcasters, people listening to the orders, like, damn, yeah, I am busy, I'm smart. And then, people watching this on YouTube, like, hey, getting a little bit offended, but that's cool. That's amazing. Okay, so you have podcasts kind of like educating people with that long form content, and then obviously YouTube driving kind of new people there, kind of getting attention and having both. Yeah, that's great. In terms of creating an online course, selling an online course, is there anything else you think that people should be thinking about or know about, or any kind of advice or words
Yeah.
of wisdom you can give?
Yeah. I mean, do not ever, ever, ever try to sell something you don't know about. Like, I see people try to learn something so then they can sell a course about it. And you really, really have to be an expert, a genuine expert. You will not last long if you actually don't know what you're talking about. Or if you're a very new expert. If you just learned this thing in the last year, I don't think you're seasoned necessarily enough to speak about it off the cuff for hours and hours and hours, to the point where it comes across like you're an authority and you're authentic. Some of the feedback I get is you're so genuine and you sound like you know what you're talking about. And it's because I'm not even thinking about what I'm talking about when I talk about Etsy. People will see through it if you don't actually know what you're talking about. So, before creating a course and trying to make money, put in the reps and actually become an expert at something first.
Totally love it.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. This was an amazing interview. Seriously, what you're doing is crazy. It's inspirational. Gets me fired up. What you're doing is awesome, and I really, really, really appreciate you coming on and sharing all your wisdom and all your gold nuggets for everyone.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. And yeah, I look forward to sharing this with our audience as well.